it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Thursday, July 21st. So the moon is in Taurus all day, a full day of this low and slow earth energy that wants us to connect to our physical bodies, to our physical circumstances in the here and now, and search for comfort, search for stability, search for comfortability. Now, this may pose as a little bit of a problem, seeing as we are in an experimental phase, as our thoughts and our emotions and our physical circumstances are constantly changing. But that is the beauty of the moon in Taurus, is that even through the changes, through the opportunities to adapt to new methods, to new ways of doing things, that we're constantly reminding ourselves of the things in our lives, the small, simple pleasures and joys in our life that bring us that comfort, bring us that comfortability, bring us that stability, bring us that familiarity. We have to continue to connect with what makes us feel safe and secure and stable as we venture out into new territory. So we're definitely feeling that emotional presence in the here and now because of the moon in Taurus. Now, keep in mind, today is the last day of Cancer season. As we've been learning, the very last day of when a particular planet is in a energy and preparing to transition into a new energy, the push is on, the intensity is on. We reach that final crisis degree in that sign before moving into another one, and it basically pressurizes us to learn the lessons that this particular energy was supposed to teach us. So if you need to go back and listen to what Cancer season was all about, definitely go ahead and do so. But to summarize, we started Cancer season with a lot of family drama, a lot of heartstrings being tugged, a lot of boundaries being tested, and of course, this full cycle should have illuminated for us where it is that A, we have to create new boundaries in order to protect ourselves. B, where it is that we find emotional safety and security, not only within ourselves, but in our personal relationships. C, where it is that our home and family dynamics are changing. And D, where new foundations need to be built in order for us to start building this new dream, this new vision, this new reality upon. So we're definitely going to feel the intensity. Keep in mind that the intensity coming from Cancer season has always been about the emotions. We have been hypersensitive, very, very emotional, very sentimental, very nostalgic. And it is likely that we are going to feel that be activated along with the defense mechanism that many of us have had activated throughout this whole Cancer season. We're in defense mode, we're in passive aggressive mode, we're in protection mode, mama bear mode, if you will. That is definitely the highs and lows of what Cancer season has been all about. And we are definitely going to be wrapping up those pros and cons here today. So there are 7 different aspects here today, and 5 of them involve the moon. So the moon in Taurus is going to be making a very positive aspect with Saturn. Saturn is the Lord of Karma. He is retrograde in Aquarius, making us do a reflection back over the last 12 months or so to see where it is that we've sacrificed our own wants, needs, and desires, our own personal happiness and joy for the greater, grander collective, and where it is that we have to build new structures, new foundations, new routines in order to put our own wants, needs, and desires back at the top of the list. This requires us to adopt new roles, new responsibilities, especially if we are jumping timelines and leveling up. And this particular energy is really going to help us kind of get a little bit more realistic with what needs to change in our physical realm, where day-to-day tasks, chores, routines, relationships, resources, money matters are concerned. The moon will be bumping into Jupiter right after in a way that would suggest that there is going to be a little bit of an activation, a trigger point, a disruption in our external realities. Now, Jupiter is big, right? He wants us to grow. He wants us to expand. He wants us to believe in something bigger, show us the bigger picture. He also has a tendency to show us what it is that we want more of. And the downside to this is that we tend to get stuck in a scarcity mindset, realizing that we want more of, love, money, connection, safety, security, stability, whatever the case may be. But then we realize all that we are lacking in the here and now. So what I will say to you is that whatever situation pops off for you today, whatever trigger, whatever activator is happening outside of your control will likely feel larger than it actually is. It will feel more dramatic than it actually is. It will feel, more overwhelming, more just extra than it actually needs to be. And luckily for us, the moon is in Taurus, trying to ground us out, because we could really get carried away with this energy, because of course Jupiter is in Aries energy, wanting to start something, wanting to begin something, wanting to, initiate a new cycle, wanting new experiences, wanting to be bold and brave and courageous to put ourselves out there in the way that we have hesitated in the past. However, because this is an external situation popping off, we might not have the best impulse control. Aries energy, it really lacks impulse control. We can throw a tantrum. We can project our insecurities, irritabilities, and frustrations out on other people. And we definitely do not want to do that. So I want you to remain very cautious on how this external event, this trigger, this activation point is really affecting your emotions. Now, 7:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Jupiter semi-squaring Saturn. So I briefly touched on this in this week's Ascension forecast. We talked about the accordion effect. We felt this very much through 2020 and 2021, the summers especially. That's because Jupiter and Saturn, Jupiter is about growth and expansion, and Saturn is about rules, restriction, confinement. And we've had this accordion effect really put us in this great awakening process to grow, to expand, to be bigger, to think bigger, to believe in something bigger. But then, of course, Saturn, spins his magic, brings us down a couple of pegs, makes us a little bit more realistic. This is very much the accordion effect of, having Jupiter be at its true fullest expansion, and then, Saturn bringing it into its, lessest restriction, if you will. And the reason why we have to talk about this is, first of all, the first of three different aspects that will be taking place, the second in September, the third in March. And we're thinking big. We need to think big. We are visualizing new dreams, new goals, new visions for ourselves. We have the urge to grow. We want to improve. We want to push past where it is that we're currently at. We want to be bold and brave to confront the obstacles. But we also need to face reality. And many of us just want to jump to the end version of the dream, of the goal, of the vision, and not do the dirty work that needs to be done in order to actually build the right kind of foundation, the right kind of structure, if you will, that Saturn rules over, in order for us to actually get there. So this particular aspect is going to kind of trigger an event that we will see kind of take place over the next series of aspects, again, from now until March. However, when they are close in orb, like right now, and they are slow-moving planets, so we get about 2 weeks of this effect before they're not within orb again, and then they will be in orb in September again, they will be in orb in March again, bringing up the topics and themes that are currently being initiated. This is going to require us to restructure our lives. This is going to put an emphasis where we need to reorganize our thoughts, reorganize our emotions, and likely reorganize our actions. What we're putting time, energy, and attention into, what our actual goals are, where the strategy is at, where the logic and practicality need to kick in order to make a plan that is actually even doable. This isn't easy, nor should it be. We are building, we are perfecting, we're in the year of 6. And many of us are just looking for an easy way out, looking for an easy fix, and we're not going to find it, especially with this particular energy. What this lesson is that we have to keep diligent. We have to keep pushing forward. We have to keep working hard. We can make some really good, serious progress here, even if it's taking one step forward, taking one step back, taking 2 steps forward, taking 1 step back. It's still baby steps. It's still progress. It's still change. It's still growth. It's still improvement. We have to continue to push forward. What we need to realize, many of us just want to scrap old ideas, old relationships, old roles, old responsibilities, and just start fresh. What I will say is that this particular energy is more likely to highlight where it is that we can breathe new life into old topics, themes, plans, whatever the case may be, and that it would be more beneficial to do so instead of starting from scratch and starting something new. Why? Well, because Saturn rules over the tough love life lessons, the maturity, the wisdom, the knowledge that we've gained through those tough love life lessons. And to start something new requires us to be open to learning new skills, new talents, new ways of doing things. And right now, many of us are walking around fully prepared to bring something beautiful to life that we just don't see that we have the skills and talents to actually do. So instead of trying to come up with a new plan, a new connection, a new relationship, new idea, new business, new goal, new vision, why not take this moment, because Saturn is retrograde, reflect over at least the last 12 months, see what ideas you were really passionate about that you ran into brick walls about, and see whether or not you can bring them to life again. We do have to watch out for Jupiter's lovely extraness, meaning we don't want to overextend ourselves. We don't want to overcommit. We don't want to dream of a dream so big that we actually set ourselves up for disappointment because it's not realistic in being able to bring it to life. We don't want to overdo anything. We don't want to overextend our limits, our skills, our talents in any way. We don't want to set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. And we don't have to, as long as we are willing to act as the observer and see where it is that our ego is getting the best of us, where it is that, our fears, our doubts, our insecurities are creating a state of paralysis, keeping us in the same old, instead of allowing us to move forward, to grow, to improve, to progress. So pay attention to what's going on at this time, because we're going to have to kind of rehash these topics and themes once in September and again in March of 2023. We want to make sure that we understand that Jupiter in Aries is all about our personal growth, what we want, what we need, what we desire, and that it has a huge conflict with Saturn in a retrograde in Aquarian energy, because the Aquarian energy wants us to focus on the goals of society, the goals of collective, the goals of the group, of the network, of the team, of the home, whatever, right? So we're being kind of torn apart here because our own wants, needs, and desires, our own dreams, goals, and visions seem to conflict with what we think is being asked of us, what we think we should do, what we think other people want us to do. And again, continuously put our own wants, needs, desires, dreams, and visions on the back burner. And then, like I said, over time become resentful because of that. And we're no further ahead. We're no further ahead in the vibe of happiness for the collective, individually, or on the greater, grander global stage. So we want to pay attention to what's going on. This particular aspect is going to feel like an accordion effect. We are going to feel that push and pull. We are going to feel the ebb and flow. I just want you to be observant on how this is manifesting within your body, within your heart space, within your head space, and of course, in your physical circumstances. So we have Mercury bumping into Venus in a way that would suggest that there is an outside trigger and activation taking place in our external realm that we do not have control over, that will have a huge effect on our personal relationships. Mercury rules over the mental plane, rules over communication, rules over information, how it is that we express ourselves. In Leo, mind you, just got into Leo. If you haven't listened to that astral forecast, please go ahead and do so. Bumping into Venus, who is just fresh into Cancer energy just this past Sunday. If you haven't listened to that astral forecast, please go ahead and do so. Because what we're learning from this particular aspect is an opportunity to have a heartfelt conversation, to speak our truth, to get things off of our chest, to clear the air, especially where some home and family drama popped off at the beginning of Cancer season. Now, this is going to require us to be bold and brave and courageous, to stand in our truth and speak our truth, even if our voice shakes. It is going to require us to sit in that uncomfortability, that awkwardness, in order to have those conversations. But what it does lead to is a new level of connection and intimacy once the air is cleared. Now, the moon is going to semi-square Neptune. This is going to be overwhelming for a lot of reasons. First of all, Neptune is retrograde and Pisces energy. We have the tendency to want to escape reality, to disassociate altogether. And because we're being kind of pressurized, let's say, in some situations that we would rather avoid, this can feel so overwhelming that we check out altogether. Now, the beauty of this is that the moon in Taurus wants to ground us out. We have the ability to capture a dream, a vision, to have imagination, creative insight, really take place in the higher realms of our intellect. Then we're able to bring it through the body and actually do something with it, manifesting it in our physical circumstances. The reason why I think that most of us are going to feel overwhelmed is because of the earlier aspects that we just talked about. It's uncomfortable. It's heartfelt. There's a lot of pressure in our head. There's a lot of choice points and opportunities to be better, to improve, to grow. And that's a lot of pressure. So many of us may crumble under this pressure and just want to kind of curl up in a ball and bury our head in the sand and just wish that it would resolve itself. It will not, okay? Neptune is retrograde, which means that we can't avoid things anymore. We have to deal with things as they are, not for the way that we wish that they would be. We can't just float off into la la land, check out from reality, and then check back in when everything is hunky-dory. We have to get our hands dirty. We have to do what we have to do in the here and now before we can go on and start manifesting futuristic visions and dreams that we're currently trying to bring to life. The moon is going to come up to, bump into, conjunct, team up with Mars. Mars is in Taurus, low and slow, frustrated, not going as fast as we would like, having to be very fixed, tunnel visioned on what it is that we want to bring to life, the work that we need to do, what we need to unearth within our own confidence, our own self-esteem, recognize where the blockages are in our physical circumstances, preventing us from actually bringing to life certain elements that we want to bring to life. But with the moon aligning with Mars, what we will feel is the want, need, and desire to actually start doing something, physical action, physical movement. We want to actually move our bodies in such a way to start aligning with our passions and desires and start achieving some of our goals. This is a grounded energy. It is a very serious energy, a very stubborn energy, and can lead to irritation and frustration kind of quick if we're not able to manage our inner realm thoughts and emotions. We are going to wrap the day up with the moon bumping into Chiron. Chiron just went retrograde. If you have not listened to that astro forecast, please go ahead and do so. This is suggesting building upon some of the events that popped off earlier in our, external realms that we don't have control over. I'm going to say likely feeding off of the difficult situation that we were in to either speak our truth or hear somebody else's truth or recognize where a personal relationship isn't going so well. I'm going to say we're feeding off of that because Chiron is the wounded healer. And being retrograde, we have to take a good look at our mental health. We have to take a good look at our pain, our trauma. We have to take a good look at our ego and identity wounds. And there's no better way to figure out where our wounds are alive and well than to have that mirrored back, triggered and activated through a personal relationship that we, obviously care about. So anytime that you find yourself in a personal relationship where you're blaming the other person for making you feel a certain way, what you need to understand is that that person is mirroring back to you the inner child wound that is up to you to feel, to heal, and to repair so that you aren't triggered and activated by somebody else doing their own thing. This is what this whole life lesson is. It's going to be a very interesting next 5 months of inner healing work. And because the moon is in Taurus and we are very focused on value and worth, especially within oneself, and how the value and worth that we have within oneself relates to the personal relationships that we have, we can expect that Chiron is going to highlight this wound, rub salt in it, so that we can bring it to the forefront for acknowledgement and get to work on trying to heal it.